Story 1. I hadn't been back to my parents' house for Easter since college. Too many memories packed into that old place. Some sweet, some sour. But this year, my sister begged me to visit. Said her daughter, Lily, really wanted to meet Auntie Claire and do the Easter egg hunt together like we used to. The drive felt longer than it should have. Country roads twisting under gray clouds. Trees just starting to bud again. Spring was trying to bloom, but the air was still cold. Like winter wasn't ready to let go. When I pulled into the gravel driveway, I noticed the house looked smaller than I remembered. Familiar, but faded. My sister waved from the porch, Lily clinging to her side, smiling with baby teeth and tangled curls. Inside, everything smelled the same lemon cleaner and wood polish. My mom's little Easter decorations were everywhere. Plastic eggs in baskets, paper bunny garlands, a chipped porcelain Jesus on the windowsill. I smiled, hugged everyone, and tried to ignore the heavy feeling in my chest. The kind of heaviness that comes from remembering things you don't want to. We ate dinner early, and afterward, Lily wanted to show me something. "Look what I found in the attic," she chirped, holding up a big chocolate bunny wrapped in silver foil. It looked old. Like, really old. The kind of packaging they don't make anymore. The foil was crinkled and dull, the label worn off completely. "Where'd you find that?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. "In a box with my name on it," she beamed. "But you didn't live here before," I said. My sister shrugged. She was just poking around in the attic. Probably some leftover from last Easter. I didn't press it, but something about that bunny made my skin crawl. That night, I lay awake in my childhood bedroom, listening to the floor creak every few minutes like it always did. The wind outside pushed against the windows in short gusts. I stared at the ceiling and waited for sleep. That's when I heard it. A knock. Light. Rhythmic. Coming from above. The attic. I froze. Listened again. Knock. 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 3 soft taps, then silence. I told myself it was the wind, or maybe a tree branch. But then it came again. Knock. 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 I sat up, heart racing. The attic entrance was right outside my door. I grabbed my phone, 2:13 a.m. No new messages. I crept into the hallway. The floor groaned under my feet. The attic door was shut. No sign of anyone. I stood there for a minute, holding my breath. Nothing. When I turned to go back into my room, I saw it. A foil wrapper. Crumpled. Silver. Sitting right in front of my door. I picked it up. Slowly. It was warm. Like it had just been peeled off the chocolate bunny. I went downstairs in the dark. The kitchen light flickered when I turned it on. The bunny was gone from the counter. I searched every cabinet, the fridge, and even the trash. Nothing. I tiptoed back upstairs and checked Lily's room. She was fast asleep, arms wrapped around a stuffed rabbit. The kind with button eyes and floppy ears. Not the chocolate one. The next morning, Lily was quiet. Wouldn't eat her cereal. When I asked if she slept okay, she just stared out the window. "He was in the hallway," she said softly. "The tall bunny man." I swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" She looked up at me with serious eyes. "He tapped on the attic door 3 times and told me not to tell." I told my sister. She brushed it off. Kids have wild imaginations. But I knew Lily wasn't lying. Her voice didn't waver. Her eyes didn't blink. That afternoon, while everyone was outside hiding eggs, I went up to the attic. Dust was thick in the air. Boxes stacked like crooked tombstones. I found the one with Lily's name. Old cardboard. Faded ink. Inside, baby clothes. A photo of my sister pregnant. And sitting underneath it all, the same silver-wrapped bunny. Intact. Sealed. But this one had no smell. No chocolate. I picked it up. It was heavier than it should have been. I shook it gently. Something rattled inside. Something hard. I stared at the bunny in my hands, cold and wrong. It didn't feel like chocolate. It was too heavy, too solid. I peeled back the silver foil. Slowly, carefully. The texture wasn't smooth. It was cracked and coarse. like something had been molded inside it, and the chocolate had never fully settled. When I broke it in half, something clattered to the attic floor. A single tooth, then another, then more. A pile of small yellowed teeth spilled out of the hollow shell, some of them chipped, others too small to be adult. I gagged, dropped it, and backed into a stack of boxes. One tumbled down, crashing into the floor and kicking up dust like smoke. My lungs burned. My mind raced. I don't remember running back down the stairs, but I found myself in the kitchen, hands shaking, cold sweat dripping down my spine. My sister walked in, holding Lily's hand. "You okay?" she asked, squinting at me. I nodded too quickly. "Just memories?" I lied. Lily looked up at me with wide eyes. "He's still here." I knelt beside her. "Who, sweetie?" "The bunny man. He said he likes the attic. He said it's his house now." I grabbed my sister's arm and pulled her aside. "This isn't normal. There's something wrong here. That bunny was filled with teeth, real ones. Something's not right." She looked at me like I'd lost it. "You're being dramatic." I ran upstairs, pulled the crumpled foil and one of the teeth from my pocket, and held them out. "Explain this." She stared, went pale. "Maybe it was some old toy. You know, from when we were kids." "No," I said. "You didn't see what was in that box. You didn't hear Lily talk about him. She didn't say another word. She just turned and left the room." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing the knocking again. Not just from the attic, from the walls, from under the floorboards. I felt watched. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lily's face blank, staring, whispering to someone who wasn't there. At one point, I got up and went to her room. She was sitting in bed, holding the bunny wrapper, humming softly. "He likes you," she said without looking at me. "He wants to show you." "Show me what?" I whispered. She just pointed to the ceiling. I followed her finger. There, above her bed, was a small hatch, one I'd never noticed before, a crawl space. The next morning, my sister and I had it out. I told her I was taking Lily out of that house, whether she liked it or not. She yelled, saying I was overreacting, but Lily wasn't eating, wasn't talking, just humming that same tune and carrying the foil wrapper around like it was a teddy bear. I waited until nightfall, packed a bag, told Lily we were going on a secret trip. She nodded like she already knew. But when I opened the front door, he was standing there. Not a man, not really. Taller than the frame, covered in patchy gray fur. A rabbit head, but too long, too sharp. Its eyes were black holes that swallowed the porch light. Its hands, not paws. Human fingers tipped with yellow claws. In one of them, it held a basket. Inside the basket were more silver-wrapped bunnies. Dozens of them, all vibrating, like something inside was trying to get out. I slammed the door, locked it, pulled Lily into the hallway, grabbed my sister. She screamed when she saw the shadow moving across the window. We huddled in the back room. No service, no landline, just the sound of slow, heavy steps circling the house. And the knock. 3 times. Always 3. On every window, every wall. Like he was reminding us. I'm still here. In the morning, he was gone. The grass was flattened in long trails, as if something heavy had dragged itself around the house for hours. Lily finally spoke. "He said you're not allowed to leave, not until he has another one." I asked her, "Another what?" But she wouldn't answer. That afternoon, I went back to the attic. Found the box again. Beneath the clothes. Under the bunny, more photos. Ones I'd never seen before. A boy. Maybe 10. Dark hair, same eyes as mine. A child I didn't recognize. On the back of each photo, the same name. Thomas. My brother. The one my parents never talked about. The one I only remember in dreams. The one who went missing one Easter when I was Lily's age. I think I finally understand what the bunny man is. Not a ghost. Not a monster. A collector. Every Easter he takes one. leave something behind, a piece of them, wrapped in foil, waiting for the next child to find. We left that house the next morning. I haven't been back, but every spring, around Easter, I find a silver wrapper near my doorstep. I never open them. I don't have to. Story 2. I was 17 when I agreed to help set up the Easter sunrise service at the old church near Hollow Creek. It wasn't the kind of place people visited unless they had to. The building was crooked, leaning slightly like it was too tired to stand straight. The paint peeled off the wooden siding. Ivy strangled the front columns. But the town loved tradition, and the church St. Gideon's had hosted Easter for nearly 80 years. I volunteered, mostly because of my best friend, Ellie. She convinced me we'd be in and out by sundown, then grab dinner and maybe sneak into a movie afterward. We arrived just after 4 p.m. The sun hung low, casting long shadows across the uneven steps. Pastor Ron met us at the entrance, gave us a key ring that looked like it belonged in a horror movie, and told us to grab folding chairs and banners from the basement. "Be careful down there," he said, smiling. "The floor is a bit unstable." I thought he was joking. He wasn't. The basement was colder than expected. No working lights, just a few dim bulbs along a single string that blinked like bad Christmas decorations. The air was thick, dusty, the kind of cold that settles into your clothes. We found the storage room in the back. Old tables, cardboard boxes, faded plastic flowers. Ellie laughed as she kicked a box labeled 1993. "Think they'll notice if we use these instead?" I grinned. "Only if the glitter explodes." That's when I noticed a door I didn't remember from previous visits. Metal, rusted, scratched, top to bottom like someone tried to claw their way in or out. "What's this?" I asked. Ellie shrugged. "Probably a furnace room or something." I stepped closer. The doorknob was ice cold. Something about it made me feel watched. I pressed my ear against it. Silence. But when I turned to leave, I swear I heard something just beneath my hearing. A breath, like someone exhaling slowly on the other side. We finished grabbing what we needed and headed back upstairs. But I couldn't stop thinking about that door. That night, I had trouble sleeping. I kept seeing it, not just in dreams, but when I blinked. Every time I closed my eyes, there it was, waiting in the dark. The next morning, we got to the church at 5. Stars are still out. A fog clung low to the ground like smoke. The parking lot was empty. The front door was unlocked. That should have been our first warning. Inside, the sanctuary was dark. No one there. No candles. No choir. Just pews stretching like ribs down a hollow chest. "We're early," Ellie said. "Let's finish setting up." We made our way down to the basement again. The lights were all off. I flicked the switch by the stairs. Nothing. Dead. We used our phone flashlights. As we passed the scratched metal door, Ellie paused. "Was this open yesterday?" It was cracked. Just slightly. Enough to see the edge of a stone step descending into blackness. "Don't," I whispered. But she was already pulling it open. The hinges groaned like they hadn't moved in years. A smell hit us. Damp, metallic, and something else. Rotting wood. Or maybe not wood. The staircase went down farther than it should have. The flashlight barely reached the bottom. "Just a peek," Ellie said. "Then we go." I followed. Stupid. Quiet. The steps creaked under our weight. At the bottom was another door. This one wasn't scratched. It was clean. New. With a handle polished like it had been touched 1,000 times. We pushed it open. Inside was a small room. Stone walls. A wooden table is in the center. Candles half melted on either end. And on the table, photos. Dozens of them. Black and white. Color. All faces close up. Mouths open. Eyes wide. Like they were screaming. Ellie picked one up. Her face changed. "This is Pastor Ron," she said quietly. He looked younger. The photo was dated 1978. "That's not possible," I muttered. Another photo showed 2 girls standing in front of the church, smiling. The back reads the 3rd of April, 1,965. One of them looked like Ellie, exactly like her. We heard a sound from upstairs, a door slamming, then footsteps, heavy, slow, coming down the stairs. We didn't wait. We ran, back up, through the dark, slamming into walls, knocking over boxes. When we got to the top, the sanctuary was full. People stood in the pews, backs turned, perfectly still, not moving, not breathing. Every single one is facing the altar, where Pastor Ron stood. His eyes were white, no pupils. His mouth opened, and a voice came out, but it wasn't his. It was layered. Dozens, hundreds, whispering in unison. We never left. The congregation turned to look at us, one by one. Same faces from the photos, same wide, screaming mouths. Ellie screamed. I grabbed her hand. We ran into the morning fog, never looked back. We didn't talk for the first 10 minutes after we got out of there. We just ran. Across the parking lot, through the trees behind the cemetery, past that old iron fence that used to freak us out when we were kids. Ellie's hand stayed locked in mine, and even when we collapsed on the shoulder of the road, she didn't let go. The sky was getting lighter now. A soft pink started bleeding through the fog. The sunrise service should have started by now, but we hadn't seen a single real person show up. No cars, no congregation, just them. I pulled out my phone. Dead. Completely dead. Ellie was too. We walked until we saw a gas station, almost a mile down the highway. The guy behind the counter gave us the strangest look. "You two look like you've seen a ghost," he said. "What happened?" "Church," Ellie managed. "St. Gideon's." He paused. "St. Gideon's?" "Yeah, we were helping with the Easter service. But something's wrong. Everyone was wrong." He frowned. "You sure you mean St. Gideon's? That church burned down 20 years ago." We froze. "What?" I asked. "No," Ellie whispered. "We were just there. Like, minutes ago." "It burned Easter morning," the man said, leaning back. "An electrical fire started in the basement. The whole place went up with the morning service still going. Nearly 30 people inside. None made it out. One of the worst tragedies this town's ever had." "That's not possible," I said again. But even as I said it, I knew. Something had been off since we stepped into that basement. The faces in the photographs, the voices, that congregation with mouths open but no breath coming out. And Pastor Ron. We called the police. They humored us, sent a cruiser out to check. An hour later, the officer came back shaking his head. "It's rubble, just an old ruin. No one's been out there in years. You sure you didn't mix it up with the new chapel on Bellevue?" We hadn't. I knew what I saw, and Ellie definitely knew what she saw. I asked the officer if he could show us. When we drove out there, my heart dropped. The lot was overgrown with weeds. The sign had collapsed into splinters. What was left of the building was just blackened beams and crumbling stone. And yet, our footprints were still there, fresh in the dew. I saw the marks from Ellie's boots, the bent weeds where we ran. The church had burned long ago, but somehow, we had stepped into it anyway. That night, I tried to sleep but couldn't. The sound of those whispering voices echoed in my head. Every time I drifted off, I saw the congregation staring, silent, unmoving. I dreamt I was back in that basement looking at the photos. But this time, the last one was of me. My face, eyes wide, mouth open, screaming. I woke up in a cold sweat. 2 days later, Ellie called. She hadn't left her house. Said every time she looked in a mirror, she saw someone standing behind her, just in the corner. A figure. Watching. Waiting. I didn't know what to tell her. I didn't know how to stop it. A week after Easter, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Just my name written in red ink. Inside was a photo. Black and white. Old. It showed 2 girls standing in front of a church. St. Gideon's. One of them looked like me. The back read, The 3rd of April, 1965. I flipped it over again, stared at the girl who looked like me. She was smiling, but her eyes looked empty. I called Ellie. She got the same photo, same date, but in hers, the girl looked like her. We never found out who sent them, or how, or why. But now, every Easter, something happens. One year, all the clocks in my apartment stopped at 6:13 a.m., the same minute we fled the church. Another year, I found a burned hymn book on my front porch, singed but intact, still open to a song I'd never heard but somehow knew the words to. Last Easter, someone knocked on my door at sunrise. Just 3 times. I didn't answer. Ellie and I don't talk much anymore. We tried, but there's something broken now. Something opened when we stepped into that church that isn't letting go. I saw her last week at the grocery store. We made eye contact. She looked older, paler. She had a scar on her wrist that she didn't used to have. And when she smiled at me, I swear her teeth looked wrong, like they didn't belong to her. I looked away. I pretended I didn't see her, because if I had said anything, I might have noticed what was standing behind her. And I wasn't ready for that. Not again. St. Gideon's never let go. The congregation never left. And every Easter, they come back to see who else might join them. Story 3. When I was 12, my parents moved us to a quiet cul-de-sac in rural Ohio. The kind of place where Easter meant big neighborhood egg hunts and potlucks with people who had known each other for generations. We were outsiders, city people trying to settle in. And that first spring, we were invited to the annual Ridgewood Easter Hunt, hosted every year by the Cartwrights. They had the biggest yard, 5 acres of rolling lawn and woods that backed right into a thick forest no one really talked about. Mr. Cartwright, a broad-shouldered ex-military guy, took the hunt seriously. He'd section off parts of the property, bury golden eggs, even make maps with riddles for the kids. Best hunt in 3 counties, he boasted. And this year will be the best yet. I was excited but also nervous. I didn't know anyone, and most of the neighborhood kids seemed tight-knit, like they'd grown up on the same street, shared the same sandbox. Still, I got my little basket, my shoes laced tight, and waited for the whistle. Mr. Cartwright counted down. 3, 2, 1, hunt! We scattered like bees. I ducked under branches, behind rocks, and even checked the hollow tree stumps. I found 2 plastic eggs with jelly beans, and 1 tiny note inside another that read, "Go deeper." I thought it was part of the riddle, so I followed the wooded path, watching for signs. But it got quiet fast. Too quiet. No birds, no breeze, just the crunch of my sneakers on twigs and the sound of my own breath. That's when I saw it. A pale blue egg sits in the middle of a mossy clearing. No other eggs around it. Just that one. I stepped forward and picked it up. It was heavy. Real. Not plastic. I shook it. No sound. Then I noticed something strange. It was warm. Warmer than it should have been. Like it had just been held. That's when I saw the carvings. Not painted. Carved. Tiny symbols etched into the shell, too small to understand, but deep enough to flake the outer layer. And right as I turned it over, I heard a voice. "That one's not yours." I jumped. A girl stood just beyond the trees. Maybe my age. Long blonde hair. A white dress, too thin for the chilly weather. Barefoot. "Sorry," I said. I didn't know this was off limits. She didn't answer. Just tilted her head, stared. Then she said it again, softer. "That one's not yours." I set the egg down and backed away. "Okay, I'll leave it." She nodded but didn't move. Just kept staring. I turned around and walked fast, half expecting her to follow. When I got back, the hunt was ending. Kids compared baskets, traded candy, and laughed. I found my parents and told them I got turned around in the woods. My mom kissed my forehead, said it was okay. "Did you find anything cool?" she asked. "Just some jelly beans." That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the girl. She hadn't been to the party. No one mentioned her. I asked Mr. Cartwright the next day who she was. His face darkened. "There was no girl out there. No one lives past those woods. That land's been empty for decades. But I saw her. You must have imagined it. We've had trouble with stories before. Local kids making things up. I dropped it, but I didn't forget. 2 years later, the Cartwrights canceled the hunt. Said it was too much work. But the real reason? 2 of the kids had gone missing the year before. Disappeared during the last 10 minutes of the hunt. Everyone searched the woods for hours. Police came. Dogs. Nothing. Then one of the search teams found something. An open clearing with 2 small holes in the dirt. Beside them, 2 pale blue eggs. Warm to the touch. With carvings. They never found the kids. The Cartwrights moved away that summer. The house sat empty for a year before someone else bought it. My parents never talked about it, but I remembered. I remembered the girl's voice. That one's not yours. I thought she was warning me, but maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was just saying it because she knew which ones were hers and which ones weren't. It's been 15 years since I saw the girl in the woods, but I still think about her. Every Easter. It's like clockwork. Somewhere deep in my mind, I feel the shift. Not in the calendar, but in the air. In my bones. And I swear, every year around that time I see things out of place. Small, simple things. An egg on my windowsill. A footprint in the garden where no one's walked. A faint tapping on the glass just before dawn. I moved to a different town. Got married. Had a daughter. She turned 5 last spring, and our neighborhood put together a little Easter egg hunt at the park. I almost said no. Every instinct told me to keep her close. But how could I explain why? How do you tell your kid there's something about Easter that watches, waits, and sometimes takes? So I let her go. Watched from a distance. She was happy, laughing, running through the grass in her yellow dress. For a moment, I let myself believe it was all behind me, until she came back holding something in her hand. "Daddy, look," she said. "I found this egg. It was under a bench. It's not like the others." I looked. Pale blue, warm, carved. My stomach dropped. I asked her where she got it. She pointed near the edge of the playground. I rushed over, looked under the bench. Nothing, but the grass was flattened, like someone had knelt there. I took the egg gently from her hand. "Let's go home," I said. That night, I put the egg in the freezer, tried to forget. But around midnight, I woke up to a sound. A knock. Not at the door, at the back window. 3 soft taps. I froze. Didn't move. It came again. And again. I looked outside. Nothing. But when I turned around, the egg was sitting on the kitchen counter. Dripping. Still warm. My wife asked what was wrong. I told her it was a bad dream. I threw the egg out the next morning. Buried it in the woods, far from our house. Thought that would be the end. A week later, my daughter was gone. Vanished from the backyard while I was unloading groceries. I turned around and she wasn't there. Police searched everywhere. No trace. No sign. Then one of the officers found something tucked into the tire of our car. A photo. Black and white. Faded. A girl is standing in the woods, holding a basket. Carved eggs at her feet. The girl wasn't my daughter, but she looked exactly like her. Identical. Like the same face repeated through time. The back read, the 18th of April, 1963. I remembered what the gas station clerk told me all those years ago, that some kids had vanished. No leads, only signs. I started digging. Online forums, old newspapers, historical archives. It didn't take long. Every few years, kids would go missing on Easter Sunday. Always the same pattern. Rural towns, egg hunts, strange photos, and the same phrase reported by survivors. "That one's not yours." I found stories about the girl. People called her the collector. Said she'd been around for over a century, appearing to kids who wandered too far. Always barefoot, always quiet. No one knew why she took some and left others. But every time someone tried to stop her, More children disappeared. I went back to Ridgewood. The Cartwright property was fenced off now. Overgrown. Silent. I climbed over, walked through the old yard, found the clearing where I first saw her. Nothing remained, just trees and silence, until I saw it, half buried in the dirt, a pale blue egg, fresh. I picked it up. My hand shook. "I want her back," I said out loud. "You can take me instead, please." The wind moved. Trees whispered. And then I heard it, behind me. "That one's not yours." I turned. She was there. Same dress, same hair, same empty expression. "Please," I begged. "She's just a child." The girl didn't blink, didn't breathe, just stepped forward, reached for the egg, took it from my hands. "She's not mine either," she said. Then she was gone. I collapsed to my knees. No sign she'd ever been there, but I knew what I had to do. Every year now, I go back. I bring eggs, leave them in the clearing, paint them by hand, carve symbols, anything to keep her away from others. I mark trails so kids don't wander too far. I stay through the night. I wait, because maybe she's still watching, still choosing. And maybe if I'm the one who remembers, if I carry the weight, she won't need to collect anyone else. But last year, I found a new egg on my doorstep, pale blue, warm. My daughter's name is carved into the shell. I never told anyone. I buried it deep, but I know what it means. Time's almost up, and this Easter I'll be waiting in the woods again, with one last egg in my hand, hoping she remembers me, and that she's ready to make a trade.